Hey everybody, this is Blast338 coming at you with some talking D&D with Mr. Faust and Phasmophobia. Hey Mr. Faust, how are you doing today?
I'm a little tired, but I'm doing pretty well. How you doing, Blast?
Ooh, I'm right there with you, man. Today was a scorcher.
Yeah, it definitely was.
All right, so we are taking a small break from doing the uh, spells. We want to talk since we just ended a campaign and started a new one last Friday. It was a custom campaign that you and one of our other players kind of came up with. And I know as a player, I absolutely loved it. I had a lot of fun. I thought the idea was very unique, something that I haven't seen in any other campaign. And why don't you go into a little bit more detail and tell the people about the name and kind of how you and might as well just call him Billy came up with it.
Sure. I guess it was about 8 or 9 months ago now. My friend Billy approached me. He had an idea for a campaign that he just kind of had stalled for about 2 years. He just couldn't figure out how to transport the idea onto paper.
Okay.
So he and I got together a couple nights a week. We brainstormed and we put together an entire campaign based around fairy tales. We would take fairy tales such as The Three Little Pigs, Hickory Dickory Dock, The Three Blind Mice, Little Jack Horner, Jack Be Nimble. And we made these fairy tales in the campaign a reality, but they were all twisted by the big bad. So Hickory Dickory Dock was a clock in the Feywild that stood on a small island. And every time the clock's hand struck a different time, the clock would deal a different effect at the party. Or heal itself, conversely. That was a pretty fun one.
I remember that. I remember that combat, and it was difficult. That was not an easy combat.
No, it wasn't. You guys struggled with that one, definitely. And that was about midway through the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah.
I think one of the very first ones that I really enjoyed, and this was after Billy bailed on us, was Little Jack Horner in the Haunted House.
That was one of the few times where I felt I legitimately didn't know what to do at some points. And it wasn't like, oh, well, what do we do here? What do we do there? I don't mean it like that. I mean, like, legitimately, if we do this, or this, we're probably going to die. Because we weren't that high of level. And you did a really good job of painting the place as dangerous, and it really was.
I think what did the most damage inside that stupid house, though, was the candle.
Well, that's what happens when you have a wild card on the table.
Yes. So, Arrow got their hands on a candle that did 66 area damage of fire every time it was physically touched. The candle was touched a total of 3 times before they made it to the 3rd floor.
Close approximation to it.
Yes. And that was one of the things, as a DM, I couldn't have foreseen. Like,
right.
There was no way I could have scripted that, which I kind of enjoyed. It's, It's a little fun for me when you guys go off the rails and I have to improv a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because unfortunately, when Billy took the notes with him, I was left to improv the whole thing.
Yeah, that was kind of unfortunate.
Very much so. Oh, there was Humpty Dumpty.
Yep.
There were small eggs scattered around this town. They didn't really do anything, they just followed and watched. But if they are attacked or their shell is cracked, there were serious repercussions.
Yeah, that definitely those little eggs were very curious. Unfortunately, we never really got a chance to see what was going on with that.
No, that wasn't investigated further. And you never got around to completing Jack Be Nimble.
Right. Yeah, we just kind of went right from one part to the end.
Yeah.
All right. Well, at the start of the campaign, we started off. Arrow's in chat. She said, "Hey, the candle was an accident," and boo Billy.
Wow, that's funny.
Yeah, we know the candle was an accident. But yeah, no, I mean, everybody had fun. I don't think anybody was all like, you know, nobody was bored. There wasn't, I'm trying to think here.
It's all good.
All in all, it was I think an absolute awesome campaign.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. Even having to kind of improv some of the encounters, you guys gave me a lot to work with.
How old are you?
Mostly because Arrow is a wild card. Wild cards tend to get you in trouble.
Goodbye.
And trouble can be really fun to roleplay.
Goodbye. 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 Yeah, she definitely was the wild card in that one.
You also made an enemy of the sheriff.
Oh, well, it wasn't really the sheriff either.
No, it wasn't.
It was a djinn in disguise. Yeah, there was a ton of stuff that kind of happened. Let's see here. We had
our spin on the Tooth Fairy with the Bone Fairy.
Very true. That was a lot of fun.
That's how 2 party members lost limbs.
Yes. Yes. They did.
And then they limped to the bridge and both got thrown in.
And then got beheaded.
And then got beheaded.
Little Pooper, yeah. Everyone died, Arrow and I were up. They're watching the
Oh
chat.
my gosh.
That's fun.
Are they?
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, like most of my campaigns, that campaign got heavy pretty quick.
It did. It was a lot of fun, though.
Mm-hmm. Different style of campaign.
Yeah, completely. And that's not a bad thing. It was not a bad thing at all.
No. I hate that I loved this so much, but I love the combat with the Dracolich.
The combat with the Dracolich was absolutely awesome. Let's talk about that a little bit. I don't think we've mentioned it before, but I don't think we actually talked about exactly what happened.
Okay, do you want me to give a general summary?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know we talked about it, but we didn't actually, you know, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So it started with an adventuring group. It was a band of adventurers that all knew one another. They had traveled before they were established. And they took a missive from the king asking them to investigate a town on the outskirts of the city that was having troubles. So they all go to this town they've never been to before. They book a room at the inn. And they meet a woman named Ophelia, a nymph. And she offers to accompany the party to kind of help them along as they go. And that's when the party started to really recognize the troubles.
Yep.
For instance, one party member wandered into a garden of a woman named Mary. And they realized that the corn stalks had teeth on them. And the cabbages were human skulls covered in moss. So nothing was actually as it seemed. But people were obviously going missing for her to allow this to happen. I mean, she was essentially raising the dead.
Right.
But that was Mary, quite contrary. How does your garden grow? That's a way in which this hag, they found out, was twisting the fairy tales.
Right.
And they started finding clues as to what else was happening in the town to locate other fairy tales that had gone awry. But what they also found was a portal to the Feywild. Now, to explain how this works, we're on the prime material plane right now. The Feywild is an exact copy of where we are standing. It's just more bright, vibrant, beautiful. It is the epitome of a pristine forest. But the town that they were in the material plane, exists also in the Feywild. And when they arrived in the Feywild, they started to realize that the troubles were acting in both places at once. There were just different fairy tales in the Feywild.
Right.
So after a while of going back and forth, helping these people, losing 2 comrades to a beheading that they may or may not have deserved, yeah, they continued on. They kept finding more and more troubles and solving each and every one of them. And how I worked it was, if a party member figured out what the nursery rhyme or fairy tale was, then they would get a point of inspiration.
Right,
So
yeah.
that was kind of cool.
How old are you?
So all the while, throughout all of this, the adventuring party and Ophelia tackled these
Goodbye.
horrible issues that were going on.
Goodbye.
Until finally Ophelia told them about a dragon that may have an artifact that could help locate the hag.
Right.
So they visit this green dragon,
Yes.
who informs them that he cannot be harmed so long as his brother lives. And the party deduced that this other dragon had to be on the material plane. So they went into the forest, they found what appeared to be a sea of bones, and the dragon rose from the bones as a Dracolich.
Oh.
And that's where things went south for me as a DM.
They want you to talk about trying to sell Tom.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, little
I'll do
Pooper
that
and
as soon as
Arrow
I
are
wrap
both
this
like,
part up.
yeah, little Pooper and Arrow are like, yeah, don't forget to tell them about when we sold Tom.
I forgot all about that. Alcoholic robotic wizard mage.
Yeah, that's, and he wasn't an alcoholic. He didn't drink or eat. Like, where they got this from, I don't know.
Yeah, I couldn't figure it out either. Anyway, the party battles the Dracolich, and we can talk about that battle here shortly. Because that was just a phenomenal combat. But they defeated the Dracolich. They went back to the Feywild, and they got the artifact.
Mm-hmm.
And Ophelia promised to guide them to the hag's hut, which she did. Until she revealed herself as the whole reason for everything that was going on. And she revealed it by stabbing Blast's character through the chest.
That was not fun.
No, that was most of your hit points.
You don't stabby the wizard.
No.
Nobody likes it when you stabby the wizard.
It ended with the party kind of going their separate ways. Dr. Thomas Moravian
Mm-hmm.
figured out where the laboratory was.
Well, I was being taken to the laboratory.
You were being taken to it.
Right.
Little Pooper became the town sheriff.
Captain of the town guard, yep.
Captain of the town guard, that was it. I forget what Felix's character decided to do.
I think she just kind of went back to...
The kingdom.
Right. How old are you?
Is that what Arrow did also?
Yeah, I believe so. Goodbye.
Okay, that's what I thought. And that's
Goodbye.
about where it all wrapped up.
Goodbye.
But there are a lot
Goodbye.
of fun little things that happened in between.
Goodbye.
Do you want to talk about the Tom incident?
Yeah, that was actually that was hysterical. So Little Pooper was playing. Was it a barbarian? No, he was playing. Little Pooper, what were you playing at first? What was your first
Hey, Blast.
character? Yeah.
I'll be back in 1 second.
Yeah, no worries. I forget if I think it was a barbarian or a fighter, or he might have been playing a spellcaster. I honestly don't remember. But he fell in combat. Oh, it was a fighter. Okay. Oh yeah, I was right. It was a battlemaster fighter. And it's not a, he liked it. It wasn't a bad character. But yeah, he died in combat. That's kind of what happens when it was with Little Red. That's right, Little Red Riding Hood. So he made up a new character. Not a yokai.
Okay, I'm back.
No problems. I honestly lost track of what I was talking about.
We still talking about Tom?
Oh, that's right. So, Little Pooper, he lost his character. That's right. He lost his character, made a new one, and he liked the idea of being the same race that I was, which is basically a robot that has a soul, a robot that's alive. And we were going to play it as he was created before I was. I was meant to basically be the mage. He was created to be a protector.
Yep.
And that's kind of how we played it, which was a lot of fun. So I told him, I said, all right, well, if you're going to do that, then obviously you're going to know what my real name, because my character lost all of his memories once he was created. I was playing a Warforged. That's right. And basically, he's like, okay, fine. He had all week to think of like a really cool name. Like when it came down to it, like we're all hyped, like, oh yeah, we finally get to find out what, Blast's character is his true name instead of calling himself Proto, which was short for prototype. What he actually is, and this, that, and the other thing, and he's like, Tom. Like, freaking seriously? Like,
Of all the names.
out of all the names you could have picked, Tom. Now, you did save it. You did save it. Thomas, I forget what the last name was, but I loved it.
Dr. Thomas Moravian.
Moravian, that's right. I thought that was a phenomenal name. But, like, not even Thomas. Tom. Like, what am I?
Tom.
What am I, a fucking cat? Like,
oh my.
But he's laughing about this as well. Little Pooper, or my Arrow, was like, I was a tabaxi. Yes, you were a tabaxi. You were
Both times.
You were a very troublesome tabaxi.
That's putting it nicely.
You were a very, very troublesome tabaxi. But we loved you all the same. Especially your first character. Your first character was honestly, you were responsible for your own death and Little Pooper's. Like 100%.
Yes.
So what happened with that is like your average adventuring party, we don't always... I mean, we were obeying the laws. However, sometimes when you get into problems or troubles, especially when you're new people in town, you get blamed for what's going on. So the town guard, I guess, well, it didn't help that he was actually a djinn in disguise, or basically working for the big bad. Took like a grudge against us. And was like, okay, well, you guys are going to come with me. You know, we're not getting out of this. And you know, I tried. I tried to get to talk our way out of it. I even tried a few spells, like cause fear, things like that. Nothing damaging. I didn't want to hurt anybody. I didn't want to harm anybody. It was more like, shoo kid, you're bothering me. And we quickly learned that this sheriff was nobody to be messed with. So he brought us back to the barracks. Was like, okay. And you got us out with your player character by using the knock spell. Right. So
which is ironic.
Yes, considering that you have absolutely banished the knock spell from our campaigns altogether. But anyways, the thing about knock is it will unlock a lock, but it blasts a loud knocking sound for like 300 feet. So yes, you let us out of jail. We were able to get our weapons and things of that nature, and hightail it out of the barracks. And we just passed our stealth check to miss, you know, the guards that are looking for us. I mean, as far as we could tell, we passed by the skin of our teeth. I don't know exactly how close or...
One point.
Wow. Okay, so yeah, we literally passed by the skin of our teeth. So we snuck through the woods to where, you know, to the bridge that was our gateway to the Feywild. And, you know, we were safe. We were semi-safe in the Feywild. There were still things there that were kind of hunting us. But at least it wasn't anything that was an immediate threat, like the town guard was.
Right.
So a lot of stuff happened. We had the fight with the Bone Devil, which was the Tooth Fairy. And Little Pooper lost his leg. Arrow lost her arm. And that began that whole thing. So what ended up happening through somehow or another, Little Pooper found out he could ride Arrow. Kind of like a... kind of like he was her... kind of like she was his personal steed or something. So that's how they were kind of getting around, because he was limited to 5 feet per round, which is, you know, relatively slow considering the guy's missing a leg. And all that. And I don't even remember why it happened. But she... oh, that's right. They went to see Rizzuto, who... go ahead and describe or talk about Rizzuto, because he's a pretty integral part of the whole campaign as well.
Yes, Rizzuto is a character that I've had for a while now, that I use in almost all of my campaigns. Rizzuto is a god of commerce. If it can be bought, sold, or traded, he has access to it at all times. What's cool about Rizzuto is because he's a god, he has an extra dimensional shop, meaning this shop exists outside of space. It's
Mm-hmm.
in its own little plane of existence. And this shop can appear to whomever needs it the most. So if you're really looking for a specific magic item, you need it to complete a quest, a door might appear in an alleyway near you and kind of beckon you to it. And in there you'll meet Rizzuto, who did play a very integral part of this last campaign.
Yes, very much so. But anyways, so they go to meet Rizzuto. I don't remember what it was for.
Well, hopefully not to sell.
Well, that's kind of what ended up happening was they tried to make a deal for a couple 100,000 GP to sell me because I'm a Warforged. I'm apparently a very rare commodity. And he was going to pay them hundreds of thousands, I think, what, 200,000 gold pieces each?
Yes.
Which is an insane amount of money. So I understand why, out of character, I kind of understand why they did it.
Yeah, I do too.
But, like, of course, my character got a little angry and was like, how dare you do this? Yeah.
Yeah, so what ends up happening is Arrow, with Little Pooper on her back, decides to run to the bridge after leaving Rizzuto's shop. I think that's how it went down.
Yeah, I got mad. I cast, what is that, cause fear?
Oh, you did?
I frightened...
Because Little Pooper could only hobble at 5 feet per round away from you.
Right. So... But yeah, he yeah, so he rode her to the bridge. And she tried to toss him in, if I remember correctly. He did an opposing grapple check and drug her in with her.
Mm-hmm. That is exactly how it happened.
And
the town guard was waiting on the other side.
Exactly. Yep, they were waiting right there for us. So that was the end of them too. They got drugged to the gallows, and that was it. That was the unfortunate thing.
The consequences of our actions.
Yep. Yep. But yeah, they tried to sell my character. He got angry. She ran off with with our fighter on her back. And we were actually going to locate... That's when Lander got involved. Lander Brightwood.
Oh, I forgot about
Remember?
Lander.
Because
you want
we
to
were
talk
going
about
to use
that a little bit?
Yeah, Lander Brightwood was a character I played in a past campaign. He's a paladin, Path of the Grave. We actually are... Mr. Faust and I ran just a little 2-player campaign one time. It was just a single shot, really. I think we both would have liked it to be a little longer than a one-shot, but unfortunately events and timing are a thing.
It was fun.
It was. So what we did is he made a level 30 character, and I leveled Lander up to level 30. So a level 30 Path of the Grave cleric with like level 12 spell slots, the whole shebang. Because he had the ability to like basically give them their limbs back. And that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to get their limbs back.
And I played a Hexblade 10, Fighter 20.
Right. And we went through and pretty much cleared out an entire single level of hell with just these two characters. Killed Orcus. We killed what's her Tiamat. Killed Tiamat.
Yes, you did. Oh my god, I forgot about that one.
Well, Orcus was funny because like I actually got him to hand over his staff.
Yeah, which robbed him of his power.
And you were so mad at me. You're like, he was supposed to like summon a bunch of undead, and I'm like, well, I guess he can't do that anymore. Yeah, the command spell when cast against the level 30 character is kind of hard to decline. Plus, he had whatchamacallit. What are those called? Robes of the Archmage, which gave him, I believe it's another +2 to his DC.
Yes.
So level 30 character, he had a 30 in his wisdom, which gives you a +10. He had the Robes of the Archmage. So you have how your character's DC or your save is your spellcasting modifier +8 plus your proficiency modifier. So his DC was 20. Well, let's see here. That would have been.
There's some jobs ready for you.
Yeah, 26.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So when you tell people to do things, they generally do them. But yeah, we killed him, and then we fought Tiamat and killed her after a long rest. Because like we would go in, do something, and then come back. It was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with it. But anyways, so our group went to the mayor. That's where all this stuff happened. Yeah, we went to the mayor to be like, yo, is there anybody that can help our friends, regrow their limbs, or maybe even fit them with like robotic or, prosthetics that would work? And she's like, well, there's this old cleric that lives out in this old temple. You're going to have to go past the, I can't remember the name of that stinking thing. The old god.
Oh, the Aboleth.
Ah, the Aboleth, yeah. You're going to have to go through the Aboleth or pass him, but if you bring him a gift and he finds a demon, he'll let you go through. And we're like, okay, that sounds like a plan, and that's what we were going to do. I actually sat down as my character. I played him off as like a doctor. And I wrote basically an anatomy book. And being a Warforged and with a very high medical check and an intelligence of, at that time, I think 22, we go above 20 in our campaigns. It's just a little house rule that we have. It's a lot of fun. It kind of breaks some things, but honestly, there's ways to balance that out. But anyway, I digress.
There are, and I like when you guys get to feel like heroes.
Right. Exactly. And so I sat down and I wrote this beautiful medical text. And then Little Pooper and Arrow come back with their characters, and this guy who like wants to see this like drunken, broken down robot dude who's for sale. I'm like, I'm sitting here trying to do my best to get you guys your limbs back, and you're trying to sell me off like I'm some piece of property. You know, Johnny Five is alive, you know. I misspelled your name. It's Arrow. Oh. Yeah, Arrow. Okay, they're fighting in chat now. Come on, guys, behave. I'll kick both of you. But yeah, no, I know Arrow is basically, she said, yeah, the Dragolich was one of her favorite parts. Little Pooper was like, yeah, that was definitely fun. And I agree. That was tremendous. So we got into combat with the Dragolich. Again, this is towards the end of the campaign. And Arrow, out of the blue, for whatever reason, casts banishment on this Dragolich. It failed its save. So it pops out of existence, goes back to its regular plane, which was the Feywild, and he's there for a full minute. Meanwhile, I'm using Mold Earth to dig a hole, because I can move 5 cubic feet of earth out of the hole every 6 seconds. So I'm like, okay, if I dig, 6 seconds, all right, that gives me 10 rounds. I can do this much excavation, and that'll be a hole deep enough for the dragon. So that's kind of what we do. And at the very last second, so the dragon's not trapped in the Feywild, and we got to go back there and fight it there, she loses concentration on spell, brings the dragon back, it falls into the hole, and then I immediately cast Wall of Force over top of the hole. Well, inside the hole, we have our druid's earth elemental that he summoned, and my dog, which is Mordecai's faithful hound. It's invisible, it cannot be harmed, and it does a hell of a lot of damage. And it uses it uses my it's 3d8. It's 3d8 force damage. Or no, it's just, I think it's just, no, it is force, I think. Or it's just piercing, possibly. I don't remember. But beside the point. So, this poor dragon spends 1 round in the hole with these 2 creatures that are beating the hell out of it. It casts Disintegrate on the Wall of Force. Wall of Force is over. Well, now it's my turn. Wall of Force. So after it got the shit beat out of it by its brother back on the Feywild, it comes back. It's getting the shit beat out of it while it's in this hole. And now it has to use its last 2 spell slots to try to get out of this damn hole.
Yep.
But it did get out. It did get out, and it wasn't the easiest thing in the world, but it didn't have a lot of hit points once it got out of the hole.
No, not at all.
But it was definitely... Oh, yeah. And Little Pooper was doing the best thing he could do, was stay in his little cage. Because at the start of the combat... Yep, at the start of the combat, Little Pooper was put into a force cage.
Let's just think about everything that would have happened without that banishment spell.
Well,
you're separated by chromatic wall.
Yep. It had minions.
He summoned 5 or 6 gas.
Oh, were they gas? I didn't even know.
Yeah, they would have messed you guys up with their paralysis claws.
Yeah, that would not have been fun.
No.
It would not have been fun at all.
No, because then he'd just come on the other side of the wall while you're paralyzed, do a tail swipe to push you 15 feet into the chromatic wall.
Right. Which would
Which
have
is
had a lot of fun
exactly
effects.
what he was gonna do. But
Well, once he was banished, all that stuff goes away.
yep,
Can't concentrate on a spell.
not if you're not there anymore.
Yep. So. But yeah, I mean, that was a great campaign. It started out we started out, what, level 2, I think it was. And
Yeah, it was 2.
We ended up going to, like, what, 14?
Yeah, it wasn't a high power campaign.
No, it wasn't like the last one where we hit like 25 or 27 or something.
It was ridiculous, yes.
Which is, and it's fun. You know, when you're going above like that, it really, me personally, I like it because it gives you the ability to multi-class into things like you normally wouldn't get a chance to.
Yep.
Because there are some things where if you multi-class, you're kind of hurting yourself. Not a ton. Not a ton. But there are some things where it definitely benefits you to have levels above, or being able to take 10 levels of one thing and 20 of another, or all that kind of stuff. And we talked about that when we talked about the different classes. You know, a lot of times you want to take a character up to like level 6. Level 10's where you usually get a lot of good stuff. And
yeah, then it's level 14 and level 17.
Right. I mean, even your cantrips, I think, level up at like level 10 or 11 or something like that.
Yeah, they do.
But all right, let's what was another big part of that campaign?
I really enjoyed the combat with Ophelia.
That definitely took me by surprise. I honestly, one of the few times I didn't see it coming.
Wow. Damn, I'm actually proud of myself for that.
Yeah, I didn't see it coming.
I don't think anyone really did. Although Felix was screaming that it was her pretty much the whole campaign, so I just assumed that was Felix being Felix.
Yeah. But no, it definitely definitely was a surprise. I did not see that coming. But then again, I wasn't. Nah, I was picking that play. I was picking it apart. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that combat was just really fun to me.
Yeah, well, it was unusual, and I liked it because of the whole fairy tale thing.
And I like how I played her. She had a wealth of healing spells at her disposal, so she would always bring the party back from the brink.
Mm-hmm.
And things like that build a lot of trust.
Right.
but she was also intelligent enough in combat to deliver a coup de grace.
Well, yeah, because she immediately got me down to almost 0. She took little Pooper's character and eliminated him basically right from the start, which is obvious because he's the hardest hitter in the entire group. So I totally understand why she did that.
And that happens a lot to Little Pooper.
Well, he creates...
The way he creates monsters.
Yeah.
I mean, absolute monsters.
He has learned very well how to read the rules and bend them. Not even so much bend them, but use them for his will. Yeah, he's like, I did like 160 damage. And yeah, that would not be unusual for you to be one round 160 some points.
No.
And that's only 2 attacks.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, fun monsters. Yes, you do create fun monsters.
Good.
Fun for you. Not so fun for the people who has to fight against them.
Yeah, it's a true story. I never intend to kill you guys during combat, though.
No.
Not unless it's the climax of a campaign.
No, and even the deaths that we did have, I mean, were, for lack of a better term, justified.
Unfortunately, they were.
You know, it's going to be a little bit different with the campaign that we're running now that you and I designed. You know, that there... there's a very high probability of death.
There really is, unfortunately, unless you utilize everything you have at your disposal.
Mm-hmm. Know your abilities. Use them. Like I said,
right.
Keep your head on a swivel. And I can't wait to talk about this campaign. This one's going to be a lot of fun as well.
I like how this one is starting.
Oh,
and I love that it only gets darker from here.
It really does. It really does. Yeah, I'm really hoping that that Cobra can join us on Friday. He's gonna make an attempt to join us, but he can't make any promises right now.
Okay. That works, though.
But yeah, that'll be absolutely awesome if he can.
Yeah, I agree. Because having 4 people in the party would just be all the more awesome.
Exactly. This is one of those campaigns, the more people, the better.
Yes.
Oh. One of the combats that I really liked was the 3 blind mice.
Really?
It was simple, but it was nice because I like fighting multiple things.
Right.
You know, I like having to coordinate okay, you guys attack this, we're going to attack that, and then we'll meet in the middle.
I guess it was tactical like that.
Well, because there was 3 of them. So we kind of split into groups. I mean, we had, what, 1, 2... Kay was there, wasn't he?
Yeah, we had 6 people.
Yeah, we had 6 people. I think we broke off into groups of 2 and kind of went from there.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we broke into 2 groups of 3 and the one got away.
Oh, that's right. That is right.
Welcome back. I've prepared
Little
some
Pooper
jobs for
says,
you.
sure, whatever you say. But that was with, we had the clock, the face, we had the mice, we had a lot of different stuff
Bone
floating
fairy.
around. It was not an easy combat. It really wasn't. The spider.
Oh, the itsy bitsy spider.
Yeah, the itsy bitsy spider was not so itsy bitsy.
No, it was like a human man with enormous spider-like legs coming out of his back.
Yep.
Alright, here. Take a look at the equipment
Yep,
and prepare it for me before starting the investigation. The ghost here seems to be linked to a cursed object. Go and take a closer look. Maybe
You
will help you.
gave us some challenge as well.
Yeah. But I usually don't amp up the challenges until you guys have worked out a good synergy.
Right. I thought we were doing pretty well.
You did. You guys did really well. I still think...
That's when Little Pooper just kind of started playing his new character, so he was flushing it out. I'm trying to think if our other party member, I know, well, Arrow had to do her new character. I don't remember exactly what part of the campaign that came into. Was that after pretty much everybody had to make new characters?
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, I mean, one thing about D&D is I enjoy starting at a lower level. I mean, yeah, the high level, high power campaigns, they are a ton of fun. They really are. But it is such a pain in the neck to create a high level character and have it function the way you want to.
It's much easier to learn the ideas slowly, or learn the abilities slowly, so you can master them before you get your next one.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so much harder to synergize what you're doing, especially as spellcaster.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine jumping in even at 14th level as a spellcaster.
Oh my word. I mean, making a level, even a level 10 wizard at that point is just like, oh, I'm gonna need a week.
It's like that though.
Well, because it's it's a lot of spells. Spellcasters are a lot of work to begin with. Now we do
Yes.
take some of the edge off by removing some of the aspects, such as items, having to keep track of spell items and stuff like that, or components.
Yeah, I've never liked that system.
We talked about it for my campaign, and I kind of like the idea that you had. I think we're going to run with that.
Which idea was that?
Well, we'll talk about it later. I don't want to give anything away while little ears are listening still.
Right.
No, we're not giving anything away about the new campaign. I don't care how much you listen in. I don't care how much you think you're overhearing or how sneaky that you're being. I'm not giving anything away about the new campaign, at least on a live stream. And anyways, do you really want the whole thing ruined? Do you really want to ruin it for yourselves?
That's
Trust
the
me,
question.
It's a lot more fun not knowing. Let's see here. We have... But no,
yeah, I'm trying to think of more encounters.
There was it was so many. And you have Rizzuto.
Little Red was a fun one.
Little Red Riding Hood, that was deadly. That was deadly.
I like how she was essentially a serial killer.
I thought it was fantastic. That's one thing I absolutely loved about everything. That the fairy tales were warped. It kind of made me think more along the lines of the original Grimm fairy tales. The fairy tales that we have now are beautiful and nice, but they weren't.
They're inaccurate.
Nice. Exactly. Yeah, there's so many things that, fairy tales are meant to be life lessons. And they just don't feel very life lessons-y when whatchamacallit, when they're kind of watered down for little pleasures or little children and stuff like that. I know you never listen in. Oh, turn the TV on. Let's see here. Oh, one thing about the town that was funny. I thought that was a funny part of running from the town guard before we got into the Feywild, when we saw the captain of the guard running back through the woods, and I used mold earth to
Oh God!
make him fall into a 5-foot pit while he's at a full sprint.
Yeah, you definitely did some damage there.
That was hilarious.
And that's something I kind of like about all you guys. You think outside the box with your spells.
Right.
I mean, with all of your spells, right outside the box. But the description doesn't say you can't do it. So it's always
Right.
an awesome judgment call when you guys say, hey, I want to do this with this using this.
Mm-hmm.
And my first thought as a DM is like, no, because that's going to fucking work. My second thought is usually, let's see how it plays out. This could be an awesome moment later.
Right. Oh. Yeah, we had a lot
Yeah,
of
I get that.
really great campaigns.
Spelljammer quickly became one of my favorites.
Spelljammer was absolutely fantastic, and honestly, I'm very much looking forward to revisiting it. Because it's one of those things that it's so open, you can almost get into any type of trouble. And the story can be rewritten over and over and over again. And you can fit these stories on top of each other, intertwine with each other. So really, there's no there's replayability. That's what I mean to say.
There really is, because, well, I'm not sure how to put this. You do have the same hub every time you play because you need a stationary base.
Right.
But the story, the villains, you know, that's new every single time.
Right. Yeah, there's no reason why they can't be. I mean, even your home hub, honestly, for the most part, can change as well. There's so many different planets. There's so many different, places to visit. Like, I like the idea of playing as true smugglers. We're being hired to transport this, that, or the other thing across, lines, and we get in trouble with somebody that we probably didn't want to be in trouble with. So,
you know
I
what?
wish for sanity.
I like that a lot.
I wish for sunrise.
Yeah, I might actually use that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, with Spelljammer, there's so many ways.
And Spelljammer is all about plot hooks. I can give you guys 100 plot hooks if I want to.
Well, exactly. Again, it's so open. I love it because it's so open. That really,
yeah, you have the freedom.
We can do everything. We can do anything.
Pretty much, and you can do it at your own discretion.
Right.
I'm still sweating.
It's You know, and that campaign was just crazy as well. I mean, well, it started off so goofy and fun, and it was so serious by the end.
It did. It got very serious.
And it's kind of what this campaign
think,
that we're playing now is doing, which I kind of like.
Yes. Because we've mentioned it's going to get darker. This is the lull.
Right.
You know, the quiet before the storm.
Oh, yeah.
Because that storm is definitely coming.
Very much so.
Welcome back. I've got some jobs ready for you.
Oh. Oh wow, it's only like 7:45.
Damn. It's early yet.
Another one that we play quite a bit and is fun as well is Curse of Strahd. Now that one's always serious from like the ground up.
Yeah, it's a very different kind of campaign.
Very much is. And
Alright, we're here. Take a look at the equipment and prepare accordingly before starting
the stakes are on the line there as well.
I've got nothing else to report, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely. But it's another one of those campaigns I feel kind of plays out differently every time you play it.
Right.
Because there are always 24 plot hooks in play at any given time. You can go here, you can go there, you can investigate this.
Right, exactly. It is it's open world as well, but not nearly as much as like Spelljammer.
But I do love the setting.
Our last time around, we did end up, I think we actually ended up getting into some of the stuff we missed last time.
You did.
Because we didn't have the animal people last time,
No.
if I remember correctly, the first time we played it.
No, you didn't.
We did the second time. Trying to think some of the other differences between the first and second. Now, obviously,
The dead
there's a
god
lot of
living in the northern wilds. When they found the Mad Mage,
Yep.
that was different. They actually went after the Mad Mage.
Yeah.
And he was true to his name.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like
Yes,
to
he
get some more
does.
campaign settings and try them out. At some point, I'd like to run an Eberron campaign.
Ooh, that would be fun.
Eberron's a really unique setting. It's high fantasy mixed with medium technology.
Okay.
So basically, they've perfected a way to use magic to create locomotion in machines, to create entire rail systems that span continents.
Oh, interesting.
Flying ships.
Okay.
But it's the setting that the Warforged came from.
Oh. I could definitely see how that would be appealing to multiple people in the group.
Yep, Warforged were the one of the newer races for that campaign setting when it came out in 3rd edition. So I'll probably get that book and start reading up on it.
Right. Yeah, that definitely sounds like a lot of fun. I mean, this campaign's going to take a little while.
Oh, yeah.
And nice thing is, it's because it's something we created, we're not limited to whatchamacallit. We're not constrained by, well, this has to happen there, this has to happen here.
No, not at all.
Which is nice.
Because even last session changed on us a lot.
It did. I mean, we didn't go off the rails all that much.
No, just the sheriff and the doctor, which was bound to happen.
Right. Sheriff and the doctor, that wasn't bad. Let's see here. No, but I love the setting. No, it's of this campaign. It is just
beautiful.
It's semi-modern day. You know, it's early 80s. But like everything is like 1950s, 1960s, nostalgia.
Exactly.
I wish for sanity.
And it really is fascinating watching the players kind of have their characters figure out what's going on.
Right. Oh yeah, no, it's.
Did I lose you?
No, I'm still here. Oh, no, I'm still here. Sorry, you didn't like to do something in game, and I forgot to unmute you or unmute me.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. I'm really anxious to see how everything plays out. I guess we could talk about the first session. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, that was a freaking blast.
You have one of our players is playing a bugbear. Arrow is playing a gnome, and Little Pooper is playing a sea elf. So Little Pooper is a barbarian. And Arrow, of course, is playing a druid. And our other player, is she a fighter? Or is she... Oh, she's a... what is she?
Demon Hunter.
Demon Hunter, yeah. And they were in their respective areas. You know, Little Pooper, his character came from... what's the name of that circus?
Oh, the Witchlight Circus.
Yeah, he came from the Witchlight, the Witchlight Carnival or Circus or whatever you want to call it. So I was like, okay, well, you're in the big top, putting on a show of strength and fighting off these guys, and you know, and Arrow was in the middle of combat in the woods, and same thing with our other player with the Bugbear. And next thing you know, everything kind of goes white. You don't really know where you are. You don't really know what's going on. And then now you're standing in an open area with cornfields and this big black thing with yellow and white stripes in front of you that seems to go down, up and down like a black river almost. But standing in front of each of you is 3 humans. Or 2 humans, because there's 3 of them. And they're like, wait a second, I'm a bugbear. Yes, you are. And then standing in front of you, you have a human and a human child, a little girl who's dressed in a nice little frilly dress with pigtails, and you know, Little Pooper, you're you know, dressed in a plaid button-down shirt, you know, think light and breezy, like a springtime shirt, with slacks and with shoes on. And they see you as the same thing as Little Pooper, except for you have a solid colored shirt on, and you're all just standing there. What do you do? And they're like, well, wait a second here. Why am I, you know... Now, they're maintaining their stats. They're maintaining their racial traits. So nothing like that's changed. And honestly, it's not going to be a permanent thing. There's going to be and probably not too much longer, I would think. What are you thinking? Maybe like another 5 sessions or so before things really kind of turn?
That's probably a good estimate.
But anyways, yeah, no, they're coming from basically a medieval world into a modern age. Well, semi-modern age. And then, like, out of nowhere, a bus, like, kind of shows up. They've never seen this mode of transportation before. They have no idea. It's loud, it's noisy, it's making hissing noises. One of the characters stabbed it, which I didn't see coming. And Joe, the bus driver, wasn't very pleased with getting his bus stabbed. And they're like, okay, well, how much is it to go into the city? And he's like, I don't know. It's like, you know, it's 10 cents. Like, just put a dime in the thing. And they're like, well, how much gold? And he's like, what? Like, why are you trying to hand me gold pieces? These are worth thousands of dollars. Like, why are you? Well, here, if it's that important to you, just get on the bus. I'm heading there anyways. And I'll drop you off at the square. Yeah, that was hilarious. They're trying to pay for everything in gold pieces, and like, of course, I always pictured a gold piece being like 1/8 of an ounce. You know, that's kind of what I priced the gold pieces as, like 1/8 of an ounce of gold, which is still like 250 or 260 bucks.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're trying to pay this guy hundreds of dollars to take them. But what do we say? About 3 or 4 miles. It wasn't very far away. You could just start to see the top of some of the taller buildings off in the distance. And everybody was really confused. And then they had to go. Obviously, you can't walk around with all this gold in your pockets. They need money. They need to eat. They need to sleep. They need to buy supplies. Um, so they went to the pawn shop, because where else do you trade in, cash for gold? And they got into a fight.
Pawn shop was one of my favorite parts.
It was great. Why are you bringing this child into my pawn shop? And she's not a child. She's a 220 some year old gnome. But everybody's treating her like she's 8 years old. And she's having a little bit of a crisis. I think she did I think Arrow did a fantastic job truly playing what somebody would experience in that type of situation. Somebody said something, she took a swing, missed. I mean, completely. I think she rolled a 1 or even a 0, because she has a -1 for strength. And hit the glass case instead of the player character that she was trying to hit, and cracked the glass in the display case. So like they just traded in like $2,500 worth of gold each or something like that. I don't think they really understand exactly how much money that is. But
yeah, I don't think they do.
Especially back in that day when everything's like 50 cents, 20 cents. I think the theater cost them like $2. Now then again, it was half price Saturday because of the festival.
Love that.
I really don't know if I want to. You know what? I might have some free passes. Damn it! You're going to the theater. Because Hutton's character wanted to go to the festival. That was his thing, because he's from the Witchlight. He wanted to go check this other thing out.
But, I love the way we described the festival, though.
Oh, you go ahead and do that. That was absolutely fantastic. You were so much better at that than I am.
What we explained to the party was that in the distance, they heard music. Upbeat, uproarious music. But what they saw were people in cages being spun in the air. They saw a large disc that read Gravitron that was spinning and spinning and spinning.
Mm-hmm.
They saw steel boxes that spun around and around and around with trapped people in them screaming. And the screaming came from every attraction around them.
Yeah, they got an apartment, and in the apartment there was a television. Obviously, they've never seen TV before. So there was an advertisement for the festival, for the movie theater, all that kind of stuff. To kind of just give them an idea of what, there is for them to do. So, yeah, everything kind of went to shit in the pawn shop. And then obviously when you go to a pawn shop and you're trying to sell something, especially something as pricey as gold with the amount that they have, now mind you, they're acting extremely weird because they don't know like some of the lingo. They don't know, I guess the appropriate word would be slang. They don't know what any of this is worth because they've never been in this type of situation before. And the guy's like, all right, I'll give you $250 for a piece, per coin. And they're like, okay. I mean, he could have been totally ripping them off. And they would have had no idea. They could have sold like 2 gold pieces and probably would have been fine for the rest of the campaign as far as money goes. I almost think it's going to be... I think it'd almost be funny to somehow get them into a car chase. See how they would handle operating a motor vehicle. But
I want to see that so bad.
But anyways, so the pawnbroker It's like, okay, well, I'm going to need to see your IDs. Obviously, little girl, you don't have a driver's license, but the other two, I'm going to need to see some ID. And they're like, well, we don't have any ID. Like, a driver's license, what's that? A license to operate a motor vehicle? Where do we get that from? From the DMV. And I'm sitting there, and this is completely improvised by you, by the way. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, please don't make me do a DMV in the campaign. Like,
It's too late for that one.
Although, you know what? We could have fun with it.
Because what kind of fresh hell is there on Earth but the DMV?
Like, we don't even need a real encounter. Like, we just need... Like, you gotta roll a constitution check so you don't fall asleep.
Yeah.
Like... Oh my god.
And you gotta roll a d12 to see how many hours they're stuck there.
Oh my god.
Could you imagine? Just standing in line?
Alright, you guys wanted to go to the DMV. This is what you wanted. This is what you're getting. Congratulations. This is your encounter for today. But I digress. So they end up finally, after a little bit of persuasion, do a persuasion or charisma check on the pawn dude, the pawnbroker, and he sells them. He trades the gold for cash, and they leave the pawn shop. And as they're leaving the pawn shop, a slick-haired teenager, or well, I guess older teenager. I guess he's 18, 19 years old. You know, classic riding a Harley motorcycle, black leather jacket, white t-shirt, slick back hair. You know, the cool guy. Hey, kind of slinks past him because it's one of those places you have to kind of knock and they buzz you in and out. Yep. And so they slip past him. Well, little do they know this is actually going to be... They're not watching right now. Little do they know this is actually going to be one of the people that's going to be... they're going to be interacting with. But as they leave the pawn shop, they hear screaming. Now, one of the things there, too, was we had Mr. Faust kind of play a character at the beginning. And instead of getting on the bus with the rest of the characters, he's like, you know what? I'm going to hoof it. I don't trust this thing. Don't really trust you guys too much, but get me a room and I'll meet you in town. I'm going to go about this alone. They never really made any plans to meet up anywhere or do anything, but they're like, okay, and they took off on the bus. And so they heard screaming coming from the alleyway beside the pawn shop. And as they run up to the whatever, you know, the screaming was coming from, they surprised me that they actually rolled a stealth check.
Yeah, I was a little shocked by that too.
I was honestly surprised. I did not expect them to be like, all right, I'm gonna, you know, walk up to this quietly.
Yeah, because it never happens.
No, it really doesn't. They kind of run into everything full on head first, you know, which is fine. And they came across a couple of ghouls and some zombies eating what looked like a corpse. And as they got closer or made their presence known, one of the ghouls kind of looked up and was like, you know, keep your nose out of things that don't concern you. And they ran off. And of course they blended into the crowd. They don't know where they went. And they're like, okay, well, I'm going to look over this. I'm not going to touch anything, but I'm just going to look over this corpse real quick. And here it was, the NPC that Mr. Faust was playing. And it's been eviscerated. Absolutely. Everything removed from inside the chest cavity. You know, arms and legs are torn from their sockets. Bones are broken. Deep gouges and slashes into flesh. You can imagine the, you know, it almost wasn't recognizable as a human body. And then the townspeople start showing up. at the entrance of the alleyway. They killed that man. Oh, somebody get the sheriff. Oh, no, they killed that man. Somebody get the sheriff. And the whole time they're walking down the streets, too. Like, welcome to Dewsbury. Have a great day. Welcome to Dewsbury. It's a pleasure to meet you. Welcome to Dewsbury. Everybody's real happy, smiling. That's one of the things they kept commenting on, too, which I loved. I was like, why is everybody so stinking happy? So after, a little bit of time, the sheriff shows up in his patrol car and he gets out and he's 7.5 feet tall. I like how you put them all in black with a badge. And he's like, oh, you guys committed this murder and, I'm going to have to take you in and da-da-da-da-da, and basically drew their attention away from the corpse. And as soon as they stopped looking at the corpse, I actually rolled a stealth check and passed with flying colors because none of them said they were doing any type of insight or perception or anything. And so I was using their passive perception. And the passive is like, I think the highest one's like a 15. And I rolled like a 25 or something crazy for stealth. And the body was gone. Like, the entire area was cleaned up. You wouldn't have known there was even an attack that happened. And
no, it was brilliant.
They looked back and, like, the body's gone. And they're like, wait, what's going on? But there was... And you did such a great job of just pivoting and being like, well, hey, I saw you guys come down here. I just want to introduce myself. It's a great pleasure to meet the new people that come into town. And they're like, but you were just questioning us about a murder. And he's like, a murder? What? They were
that was actually a little tricky for me.
They were so confused. And then Arrow absolutely lost her fucking mind. Which is great to see that basically her character had a mental breakdown, like right then and there. And decided to run off. Just absolutely book it down the street. And he's like, stop that girl. And immediately, like 4 of the townspeople, they stopped smiling. They stopped like walking carelessly down the street. And they immediately turn, scowl, and grab her as she runs by. And I'm like, okay, well, they grab you. You can feel that their flesh is cold. Their hands feel bony. That type of stuff. And now she thinks the whole town is robots being controlled by the sheriff, which I think is hysterical. So they get her, they get her calmed down, and they actually get in the back of his car, if I remember correctly. And he drops them off over at the doctor's office. And the doctor kind of does an examination of her and gives her a lollipop. And, of course, they're treating her like she's an 8-year-old girl. But, like, the group is like, oh, yeah, she's got mental problems. And they didn't treat people with mental disabilities very well back in those days. You know what I mean? So like he wanted to call like CPS and like have her taken away and put in a home, and it was just like, oh my god.
It escalated real quick.
It did, and I'm just sitting there going, oh my, what are we gonna do? Like, okay, they're gonna have to break her out. Like, I think that's actually a great idea, is eventually they're gonna like report some of this stuff, I would imagine, to somebody. And they're gonna be like, oh, you guys are crazy, there's no way. And like the people in like the white vans with the nets and the I love me jackets and stuff show up. And they got to
that would be hilarious.
They got to do an insane asylum break. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that would be a lot of fun. We could definitely do that. Uh, but yeah, I mean that was great. They got to meet. You know, you have Rizzuto, I have Mary Beth. I
Yes.
love Mary Beth. She is a wonderful character. She
Oh, she's like the
is.
sweetest woman ever.
She is. She really is, and she loves her food, and she loves to do nothing more than make people happy with her food. And you know, Rizzuto's the god of commerce. She's kind of the god of food. You know, no matter where she is, no matter where her diner is or her tavern or whatever she has at that time, and again, she's most likely in multiple places at the same time as well. Um, she always has a warm room, a warm, safe room. She always has a pot of stew on or whatever you want. Any type of food you want, she has. And you
Yep.
walk into her back room, you walk into like where her kitchen would be, and you walk into, and I got this idea from like Eureka and like Warehouse 13, uh, the library, like those shows that kind of deal with like extra dimensional spaces, that her supply warehouse goes on like forever, and she has teams, infinite amount of goblins that create the dishes and make the food and that type of stuff. So all she has to do is basically show up and say, well, I need this, 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 and this. So you order your food. She walks in the back through the double doors, and there's always, you know, the doors. Um, and you hear noises, you know, pans clattering, glasses breaking. Sometimes, like, you'll hear animals. Sometimes you'll hear, like, if she's going back to get you her special hot chocolate, you'll hear like yodeling. You'll hear like the big like horns they blow in the Alps and stuff like that, in the Swiss Alps, that type of
Hey, Black.
thing. Yes,
I'll be back in just 1 minute.
no worries. Um, but she walks back, she gets your food, and she comes right back out. Like, you order and have your food within like a matter of a minute, and it is always delicious. It is always done perfectly. Any type of drink, any type of food, whatever you want, it is there. Um, the group doesn't exactly know that yet. They just know that, hey, she walks back, this food's great. They had taco soup, and a steak. In our last campaign. I'm interested to see what they decide to eat this time around.
What did I
They
miss?
went nothing. I was just talking about how her warehouse is infinite, and she has her infinite amount of goblins that make the food, and everything's always
Oh, yeah.
delicious. And you order it, and she's back out with a tray full of food within a minute.
Yep.
It's kind of crazy. I'm surprised they didn't pick up on that. You know,
Right.
But yeah, they ate. They got an apartment that's above her little diner. Um, they actually passed a perception. Actually, the rat failed its stealth check, and they found one of the rats. They don't know about the rat. They don't really know what's going on with the rats yet. Then the then the dumbest thing happened. It was funny. It was dumb. I think it went on a little bit longer than it probably should have, but they were having fun. We were all laughing. No harm done to anything. They found the telephone.
God.
It was an old rotary phone, wired phone with a curly Q wire on the kitchen wall. And somebody's like, okay, well, I'm going to dial this phone. And I'm like, all right, we'll make an intelligence check. So it was a 10. I'm like, okay, whatever. You managed to squiggle the dial enough to dial a number. You might have done 1 or 2 digits over, but it's not that hard to dial a phone. And
Yeah.
you picked up playing like this old guy and was like, hello? And they're like, oh my god, there's somebody there. Are you trapped in this little box? And he's like, this is a prank call. I'm hanging up. And they're like, oh my god, he's going to hang himself. Ridiculous. Absolutely freaking ridiculous. The guy hangs up. They hang up the phone, pick it up, do another intelligence check to see if they can redial the same number. They call the guy back and they're like, please don't hang yourself. Please. Like, oh my word.
And then he called to his wife.
Yeah. I was playing the wife. And it was just it was just ridiculous. It was so much fun. It was just one of those things you can't really plan for.
No, not at all.
And so after they were done playing with the telephone is when they turned on the TV. They saw the ad for the theater. They saw the ad for the festival. I think we had like a spaghetti western or something like that playing afterwards, and they kind of turned that off. And they went and took their rest, their long rest. And again, you know, it's a nice, comfortable, warm place. The beds were absolutely amazing. They've never slept on anything so great. And they woke up refreshed. And when they woke up in the morning, the phone rang. It was Mary Beth saying, hey, I heard you guys get up. Come on down for breakfast. That's included with your apartment. And they're like, oh my God, you're now trapped in the phone. And she's like, no, I'm downstairs. Like, just come on down. And yeah, they ate breakfast. You know, they talked about going to the festival, and it's like, well, the festival's not quite open yet. You know, why don't you guys go check out the theater? So they ended up going over to the theater, and I thought it was funny that they chose the movie Eaten Alive.
Yes.
That was, I mean, it didn't really matter what movie they chose. It was going to be the same thing. I just thought it was hilarious that they chose Eaten Alive. And so they bought their popcorn, they bought their drinks, their candy. Obviously, we're trying to explain, you know, okay, well, you have these little candies, they're called snow caps. And they're like, what's a snow cap? Like, damn, am I old? And then Arrow bought peanut M&Ms for her character. And who was it? Was it that was like, well, can we even eat peanuts? Like, what do we, you know, is anybody allergic? And you're like, I don't know, let's roll a D100. So you rolled a D100 for everybody. And it just so happened that Arrow's character is allergic to peanuts. So she ate one of the peanut M&Ms and immediately went into anaphylactic shock. And Little Pooper had to use his lay on hands because he's playing a paladin to relieve the inflammation, because your body acts like it's being poisoned. And with the swelling and this, that, and the other thing. So they got her stabilized and they went into the theater. And if you ever gone into a theater with the stadium seating, you know how you first walk in, you have the walls on either side, and then you have to kind of walk down to the end of the seating and then kind of go around the corner. Well, when they came around the corner, instead of being seating, it was an open arena with two zombies and 2 ghouls that were feasting on something in the middle of the floor. And of course, well, one person was stealthing, but the other 2 were like, nah, we're just going to go. And they looked up, and yeah, we roll for initiative. So they did end up killing the zombies. They did end up killing the ghouls. I'm kind of surprised nobody got paralyzed.
I'm a little surprised too.
They made the con saves. Actually, they took them out before the one even had a real chance to do anything. I think they did a fantastic job. I mean, Burning Hands is a hell of a spell. And then once that kind of was done, they went and investigated what they were eating, and it turned out it was actually the body from the NPC that you were playing, Mr. Faust. So like that just adds a little extra like what the hell? And we kind of left it off at, you know, you guys hear a rumbling and groaning and moaning and stuff coming from behind the screen. And that's where we ended the evening. So we left off on a little bit of a cliffhanger. I'm really anxious. I'm not anxious, but I'm really wanting to like get into this. I cannot wait for Friday. Friday cannot come quick enough, to be honest with you. This whole week is just going to drag. It really is. Because what's going to happen next is going to be, in my opinion, fantastic. And hopefully they enjoy it as well.
I'm really hoping they do.
So, all right. Well, it is 8:24.
Yeah, probably time for me to get going.
Don't want you to be late. So, I think I'm actually going to end the stream right here as well. But,
alrighty.
Well, thank you, Mr. Faust, for joining us tonight. I always have fun on these Monday evenings.
As do I. It was a lot of fun.
And, yeah, I'm looking forward to Friday with you. I'm looking forward to next Monday to talk about... we're going to head back into spells. So we're going to be going over, you said, Paladin and Ranger, I think it was.
Yep.
And,
they're
yeah,
both half-casters.
I'm sorry?
I said they're both half-casters, but they both have really unique spells just to them.
They do. They do have a lot of unique spells. Again, the Ranger really surprised us when we talked about it in our initial talking about Rangers, the class. And yeah, I really want to see what kind of spells and stuff they have that really go along with their abilities. But as always, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a lot of fun. If you guys like the stream, if you like the video, if you're watching this in the future, don't forget to go ahead and give it a like. Comment down below what your favorite part or any favorite parts of campaigns that you've played. Always looking to hear a good story, read a good story. The best one's going to get pinned. So hopefully we get some comments down there so I can pin them. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button, please go ahead and do so now. If you already have, then great. Thank you so much. I do appreciate each and every one of you. And if you haven't, or if you have, then I need you to do 3 little things for me. I need you to tell your neighbors, tell your friends, and shout it from the rooftops. Like, comment, and subscribe to Blast 338. Have a great time, and we'll see you at the next live stream. Peace.